Hey, it's Mike Monday here with your almost daily dose of insight, inspiration and information to get you moving in the studio and out of it as well. And today I'm going to talk about what the best or a good creative routine for a gigging DJ or a night owl is, because I'm sure anyone who knows my stuff is aware. I often recommend doing your creative work before you do everything else. So if you're a night owl or you have, or you work at night, which makes it very difficult to do it early, this video is for you. But before I answer this, I've got a new tool that you can download, or rather it's a set of tools. You see, when I was making music and travelling all over the world every weekend DJing, I was completely knackered most of the time. I was in a state of jet lag and just completely, with my head on the floor. So I had to develop ways to still get in the studio, and that usually meant removing a lot of the decisions that I would usually make in the studio and sort of making them beforehand. And this is what the 7 top tools for massive music momentum are. Basically, they help you take a lot of the decision load off your plate when you're actually in the studio, so you can just get on with it and make them out of it. So they're probably not what you think. So to get them, go to mikemonday.com/7 top tools. And when you get that download, you'll also get a little free surprise, which you might want to sign up for on the other side. So today's question comes from Darius, and I'm going to completely murder your surname, I'm afraid. Dumliauskas is what I think it is. Sorry if I've said it completely wrong. And he says, "Hello Mike, in many of your videos you talk about the benefits of waking up early and doing most of your creative work at 5 to 7 a.m. in the morning. But what would you recommend for someone who is doing 3 to 4 regular DJ gigs per week, which most of the time ends around the same time you wake up each morning? Any creative tips for someone who is a night owl for a living?" So this is I take full responsibility for this, but I don't for maybe garbling my message. But I don't actually say that you need to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. What I say is that try doing your creative work before you do anything else. So for a lot of people, that would mean getting up earlier, getting up at 5 in the morning. If you currently get up at 6, getting up at 5. If you currently get up at 8, get up at 7. But I've actually specifically helped a particular DJ from Italy who was a resident at various different things, and he was gigging 3, 4, maybe 5 times a week. And it doesn't have to be at a particular time. All I'm suggesting is you make it the first thing you do after waking. Even if you wake up at 2 p.m, just do it then. When I suggested this to this Italian DJ, it worked absolute wonders for him. So instead of waking up and just, in the afternoon and doing whatever and then eventually getting around to the studio, he woke up and he went to the studio, and that was often in the afternoon. So the actual time it is doesn't matter. I'm just suggesting you try at least doing it first thing for you, whatever time that might be. And this Italian DJ has now released an album, and it's absolutely worked wonders for him. But I do appreciate there are some people who are actually night owls, and they just can't do anything for the first few hours of their day, whatever those hours are. And so what I've done is there are certain things that are helpful about doing it first thing in the morning, which you can actually simulate by applying certain things, and even if you do it at the end of the day. So the first thing that's really helpful about doing it first thing in the morning is that you don't really think, like when you get into the habit of doing it after you get up, you don't really think about it, and it's easier to create a habit because you don't have all of those kind of thoughts of, oh well, I've got to do this or I've got to do that. So it becomes a daily practice, and the daily practice is the most powerful thing I know in terms of making progress on your music, because you don't need a very long period of time when you do it every day. So the first thing I would suggest, if you are a night owl and the only time you can work is at the end of your day, then make it daily. And in order to do that, you might need to lower the bar, shorter sessions. Don't think, there's no point unless I do it an hour. That is not the case. 10 minutes for 6 days is going to be, over the course of your career, 10 minutes every day for 6 days is going to be better than one day doing an hour, for lots and lots of different reasons. So the first thing, make it daily, lower the bar. Another benefit of doing it at the start of the day is that you always, unless you're off at various after parties, you do wake up every single day. And if you do it immediately after you wake up, then that is you doing it after you do something you do every day. So it's kind of like an anchor. It becomes an anchor. You go, right, I wake up, I start doing my creative work. So if you can't do that, if you can't do it after you wake up, then simply pick something at the end of the day or towards the end of the day that you definitely do every day, like have dinner or whatever it might be, and make that daily habit then. Okay, so after you do something you do every day. Okay? Another benefit of doing your creative session immediately after you wake up, at the start of the day, is that usually the day is about to happen. Okay, so you have a natural deadline, an endpoint, and this is brilliant focusing mechanism. So say you've got a day job and you have to go to work at 8 AM. Well, that provides a hard deadline that you have to finish your session on. So what I suggest you do, if you can't do that and you need to do it at the end of the day, is use a timer and make a deadline by which you will stop this session. One of the problems with doing it at the end of the day is that they can stretch out, forever and ever, and you end up just kind of faffing around. This is what I found. So by making my session short with an end point, that naturally focuses the mind on making progress rather than noodling about trying different sounds and not really getting anywhere. Okay, so use a timer and make your sessions have an endpoint, just as you would if you're doing it at the start of the day. Another thing I used to do was, instead of continuing until I was sick of it, would be to stop when I was still excited. Often when you work in the morning, you will be excited by what you're doing and you will end up having to stop when you're still excited. Now, the benefit of this is that if you stop when you're still excited, it's much more easy to come back to. Rather than if you end when you're bored and tired and almost like, falling asleep, then it's much more difficult kind of mentally to come back to it and get the energy to come back to it. So do what you can to stop while you're still excited. I know Ernest Hemingway used to finish his writing sessions in the middle of a sentence so that he found it easier to get back to. So that's another example. Another one is very obvious, which I hope you're doing already, which is turn off the internet, leave all gadgets out of the studio. Literally, just even get them out of your line of sight in a different room. Turn off the internet. Use some kind of parental control mechanism, or Freedom is the Freedom app. Just do a Google Freedom app. It's a really good way of turning off the internet, because obviously when you work at the start of the day, no one else tends to be awake, so you don't have those distractions. So you can simulate that by simply just turning off the internet, and also tell everybody who you need to tell that you are not to be disturbed during your shorter session. And then one of the problems about doing it at the end of the day is that you've had a whole day of the internet and your mind has become more ADD and more kind of distracted and more like this. So if you've been on the internet all day and you're in that kind of dopamine fueled state, you're all like wired and everything, then attach a short meditation to the start of your session, just to center yourself and focus on what you need to do. So that is what I suggest you do if you are an actual night owl or if you're a professional night owl as a DJ. It does not have to be at 5 o'clock in the morning or any time. It just try doing it immediately after you wake up. If that doesn't work, and also give it a bit of time before deciding it doesn't work, because these things take practice. I thought I was a night owl for years, because obviously I was a jobbing DJ, so I was always up until goodness knows what time. And it was only when I tried it, that I realised I wasn't. So I started doing my creative work first thing, even if first thing for me was 2 p.m. So that's the first thing. If you are actually a night owl, if that is when you are most creative at night, and there are people like that, shorter sessions, lower the bar. Put your session after you do something you do every day. Use a timer to create a deadline for yourself on when the session ends. Stop if you can when you're still excited. Turn off the internet, leave all gadgets out of the studio, and attach a short meditation session to the start of your session. So I hope that was helpful. Don't forget, I've got a new set of tools to download, which will help you if you're tired and you've got virtually no kind of creative energy left, because it will help you. The 7 top tools will help you kind of make a lot of these decisions out of the studio. Get them at mikemonday.com/7 top tools. And if you found this helpful, share it with someone, tag somebody in the comments who you think if they might find it useful, or just plain tell them about it. And so until next time, onwards and upwards, and go and finish something.